Hello, gorgeous people.
Lisa.
It is so nice to see you all.
Lisa.
Everyone's still
And there's
joining as
Wilbur.
we speak. We have not had a call in ages. We were going to do this one last week, but okay. Who wants to share the limelight with the whole voting thing and the news cycle? And so this is a call only dedicated to Johnny and Joanna. Nothing else is going on in the world today. As always, we've got tons to talk about. I have burning questions in particular. I'm dying to ask them, but I've got some people trying to get into the call, so I'm going to give them a chance. Let me just refresh you because we've got a lot of new people that have requested to join. This is not a call where you're going to kind of learn how to be an audiobook narrator, or especially where you're going to learn how to word your letters to publishers so that it's the magic wording and you'll get the job. This is a call where we like to go off script. So if you can find the answer on Google, let's save it for Google and let's ask quirky, weird, unique questions now that we've got Johnny and Joanna in the headlights. I'm not going to waste my time introducing Johnny Heller or Joanna Perrin, to be honest, because if you don't know Johnny Heller or Joanna Perrin, really, you need more than this call. But they're coming off of the wild success of the Narrator's Retreat, which I'm pretending that I was on because I have complete FOMO. And they are gracing us with their company, and they're going to answer some hard-hitting questions because every call we've had with them, I know it sounds like we're going off the rail, but if you listen back to them, they really are giving you a masterclass in narration. Between the two of them, I think their styles are completely different and completely complement each other, which brings me to my first question. I'm just going to dive in. I was trying to figure out why I listened. Everyone's heard me go on about a book, and Johnny Heller narrated it. Sean Inman wrote it, and it was the title's escaping me now. The Unbearable Life of Somebody or Somebody, but it was
Weaver. Somebody Weaver.
Oh,
yeah. That book kept me up. I basically just didn't want to sleep, didn't want to do a single thing. I wanted to listen to that book. I wanted to stay in that world, and it was bugging me. So I was thinking about the questions I wanted to ask Johnny and Joanna, and I realized that I couldn't at the time figure out why I liked Johnny's narration in that book so much. I mean, it's patently easy to say somebody's a great actor, and I've been telling myself, trying to analyze it, well, Johnny is in the moment. But I think it's more than that. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie, and I just watched it again to study up for this call. French Kiss with Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It is cheesy, but it's a classic. I stand by that. There is a section in that book where he owns a vineyard, and he has a childhood project, and she's gone back to his hometown, and I do have a point here, I swear. And she's looking in his room, and he's got his school project, and in it he's got little boxes with all the scents, like lavender and the coffee and the scent of such and such and a perfume, and they're all the scents that are influencing the soil at his vineyard that determine the unique stamp and taste of that wine. And I realized, I don't know where I got this connection, I realized that when I listened to that book that Johnny did, it's
the Unusual Life of Thomas Weaver.
The Unusual Life of Thomas Weaver. When I listened to that book, what Johnny did, and I suspect this might be something you're born with. I suspect this is what people talk about when they say somebody's just born talented. But you laid bare all the places you're from, all the things that you've experienced, all the layers were in your characters. So I felt listening to that book like each character was alive. And that was not, I guarantee, as simple as you checking out the TV and thinking this character might be like such and such star. It just couldn't have been. So I think it's so hard to put this into words, but I've been like craving the answer to this because it feels like this intangible connection we bring between who we are and who we make how we create our characters. See what I'm saying? And it's that book with Johnny Heller. If you haven't listened to that book, it's a master class. It's I completely forgot anything else because you brought layers, and it made me feel like I was in America. I get homesick, and it made me feel I could enjoy America. I could see what you were seeing. I could hear what you were hearing. I could see everything in that book so clearly. And then I thought, well, what about Joanna? Because they're very, very different and everything. And I know you do a lot of nonfiction and everything, but then in everything, in your photography, and I know we'd had a conversation about something else. And the thing I don't know how you do is that you command respect. But you don't do anything differently. You bring your presence. It's a presence. It's a thing. And I mean, you guys can't, obviously, you don't wake up and go, oh, I'm going to do this, but you both excel at it and we all see it. And you know that we're all a little bit starstruck. Oh my God, Johnny and Joanna, everyone wants a piece of that. I don't know if you have to be born with it, but you both have that knowledge of who you are and you translate it in your art and your crafts. So what do you guys have to say about that?
That's maybe the world's longest question. I think the answer is yes. Joanna?
But do you consciously think of that kind of stuff?
Here's the thing. First, on behalf of both, we certainly appreciate that. When you say you forgot about me when you listen to it, that's my goal, and I think Joanna's goal in every book. After I say narrated by Johnny Heller, I no longer want you to consider that it's me. It should be whatever world the author, fiction or nonfiction, takes you to, should be the world you exist in. And I think from an acting standpoint, while indeed it's true, you can't just say, I think this guy should be, what's his face? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I should be Will from that. Yeah, Will Smith from that. Well, that gives you a handle sometimes on who you see as the character, but that's not enough to create a character.
Right, it's from the outside in.
Yeah, so
you go from the inside out, don't you?
You need to investigate. I mean, some people work outside in, and sometimes you get an outside idea. That's the person I see, but what's going on inside? Who is? Because everybody's different. And in Thomas Weaver and any other book I've ever done, here's where it becomes difficult. From a pure theatrical training background that we both have, you create these roadmaps of the character you play. Well, generally you play one character. If you're in Death, you're playing Willie Loman. So that's your, everything about. You create a whole backstory. You can't do it in a million characters in a book.
Right.
But you have to understand intuitively, instinctively, and quite deeply that there is a life, there is a place they came from. No one, I saw the movies when some hapless guy is a security guard outside the bank, and they just kill him. He's there, he's looking around, smoking a cigarette, and bam, they shoot him in the head. Okay.
Those are all the parts I got.
I
was always shot in the first 2 minutes.
If it had been a different movie, it would have been his story. We would have cared. All we care about is this hapless slob, and he probably has no lines, just something that happens. Yeah. And I've always thought about those guys. I've always thought about all the people. Who is that guy? What happened to that guy?
Who was that guy?
Why did he get the shitty job of being he probably was making $7 an hour and he got shot in the head, guarding the place. I think those things. And I think that could be a personality quirk of mine, where I look at these people and I think, well, there's got to be something. If somebody says something, you have to understand what made them say it, the moment they're in, what's going on, but also what led you, what were the segues that weren't written about that led you to that point?
So when you're watching a movie, are you thinking of them as actors, or are you thinking of the characters and living in the world of the characters?
The latter, if they're good actors.
The latter. Okay. Joanna, what about you?
If they're good actors.
If they're good actors.
If they're good actors. Okay.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
Do you guys see the movie called The Outfit with Mark Rylance? It's on HBO or something. It's
or Prime.
Prime or Amazon Prime, one of those things. The Outfit, it's called. It's a gem of a film. It's new.
Is it?
Mark Rylance plays this really charming, gentlemanly old world tailor in Chicago in the after the war and between wars, I think. And the mob is using his place as a drop place. That's why it's called The Outfit. There's another movie called The Outfit. This is Mark Rylance. It is an acting lesson. Everything takes place it's a movie in one set. It's a perfect stage piece. It all takes place in the tailor shop. It is riveting. And I only bring it up because if I want to talk about great acting, that's a lesson in great. I appreciate what you said, and I'm very happy when I can completely tell a tale and be all the people and just make you love it. But this, you watch things like that and you think, I need to be better at what I'm doing. And I think one of the things we all have a problem with is understanding that we can't get here and say that's good, that's enough for me.
Right.
The bar has to keep going up, otherwise what are we doing?
Yeah.
This
because you're trying to crawl into the characters and you can't get close enough. You can't ever. Do you think you're born with the ability to be so strong in yourself and not know who you are that you can let yourself go into the characters, both of you? Or do you think that it is purely from having worked on your craft for years?
I missed the last key.
No, sorry. The Chow is guarding us.
Or do you think
I missed the last end of it.
Do you think it's something you're really born with and that you've always been able to do? Or do you think it's purely a matter of having worked on your crafts your whole life and trying to reach that next level that Johnny's talking about?
I think that if you gravitate towards being an actor, you either have that ability somewhat naturally or aspire to have that ability. But I do think it's training, because if you've got the possibility of it, it's as if someone's born with a great deal of intelligence, but if they continue on and go up to a PhD and continue to learn and continue to grow, their intelligence grows. So I think you have to have an ability to do that, but I think training is a big part of it because it helps to unleash more of that in you, if that makes sense. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. But I think you're born with the desire to train.
That's what I'm saying. You're born with the desire to gravitate towards acting.
I mean, all of us are born with the desire to act. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on this call or doing this thing. It's something we need. And I always think that an actor, a working actor, professional actor, must love it. You must love it. Otherwise, you never would have done this. Yeah. Your batting average is worse than the left-handed catcher in Major League Baseball. There's so many no's, very many no's, so very many crushing defeats. And while we are, while we all have issues and we need to be validated every 2 seconds, we're so much stronger than we ever let on because we take these crushing defeats and still carry on in the face of all these no's. And when you start turning those no's into yeses, it's such a great feeling. Yeah. And I think if any of us could do something else, we would be doing something else.
Yeah, I think if it was something we enjoyed better, we would do it. If we were smart enough to find something that we enjoyed.
Good enough, and gosh darn it.
So this brings me to my next question, which is a total swerve. Aside from, you guys, you two know that all I'm trying to do on every one of these calls is get into Johnny's and Joanna's heads and figure out their secret. So I can take the shortcut and be that good. But okay, here's my next question. And it's going to sound a little bit weird. I've asked a few people and I'm going to keep asking till I understand the answer. The scheduling with publishers and reaching out to publishers. And okay, so I'm going to paint a scenario. Tell me what you think is protocol. Because when you're an actor, your agent calls you and says, I'm going to pencil you in for such and such. You know that a pencil is, a pencil, but you don't dare book anything in case that, commercial about honey comes through and like your life changes. So you hold on to it and you call your agent before you ever dare book anything. But when you're doing audiobooks, what if is there, like, I thought maybe there was a wink, wink, nod, nod standard time that all the publishers and other narrators knew about that I didn't know about. But when you, like, a publisher says to you, can you audition for such and such book? And you say, of course, and it's in, like, say 4 weeks, and you audition for the book and you send it to them, and say a week and a half passes. And now this book that would have been due in like 4 weeks, you've got other opportunities come up, you're not feeling good, you'd quite like to know if it's going on. Is there ever a time that you email the publisher, or do you assume after a week you didn't get it and you book something else, and if they do come to you, say, oh, sorry, I thought that it wasn't going ahead, so I booked something else? What is protocol, or is there a protocol?
There is protocol. First off, the idea of when a publisher reaches out to you to audition or potentially give you a book, that's already a suggestion that you're in the running.
Yeah,
right. They're not going to do that. They're going to do it to Jonathan and Tad and David York, and those are the 3 guys going to do it for. That's it.
Right.
That means those 3 guys.
And you don't want to let them down.
Got a fair shot. Now, so let's use Tad because I'm staring at him right now. So Tad's a guy. They're gonna offer Tad the book. So what happens is this. He says, Tad, I want you to audition for a book, and like it's a 4-week window, like you said. So then 4 days in, he gets called for somebody else. Said, Tad, this isn't an audition. I have a book for you. Here's the timing, and it would interfere with the other book. Say, I'm up for something. So here's 2 things that protocol requires. 1, you ask the guy who has the job, is there wiggle room on the timing? There almost always is. Most of us never ask.
But what if it's 2 weeks? What if you did the audition 2 weeks ago?
All right. So then what you do is you get hold of the person who asked about the audition. Say, look, I don't mean to rush you or anything. I'm letting you know that I've been given a project.
Okay.
And
so
I want to take it. So I wouldn't say what's going on. I say, this may affect your planning, but I'm going to say yes to this because it's a bird in the hand. If you still want me to do your book, I can do it, but I need another couple weeks tacked on to finish it. I think that's
so you don't assume after a week that you didn't get it. So
no, God, no. Joanna auditioned for a book she just got. She had a cold when she auditioned. She said she had a bit of a cold, didn't know, and then she didn't hear anything for a couple weeks. Yesterday she got the book. So and I hear things sometimes that you're up for a book, and I'll write back. It'll be like a month. I said, listen, I know it's been a month. I know it's cast, but I haven't seen a name attached to the project. But I've got stuff coming up. So and they say, oh, no, you have that. But then they forgot to tell me. But you need, what I always tell everybody all the time is you've got to solve problems for the publishers. Solve problems. Don't create
So you're
problems.
not causing them extra, because I'm thinking,
God, it's so nice.
sitting
Daniela,
there with every narrator sending them emails going, what about that book I auditioned for?
You can't write and say, did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? That's bullshit. You can't do that. But you can say, listen, I have a gig or I've been offered another gig. I'd like to at least audition, but it's going to interfere with the timeline.
Especially if after a week you haven't heard anything, especially if it's an upcoming book, if it's something they're looking to do in, next March, but if it's something that's upcoming and someone offers you something, I don't think there's any problem with contacting the first publisher and saying, look, I know I may or may not still be in the running for this book, but I'm letting you know that someone else has approached me. Can you tell me the status of the book? And they understand that.
Yeah,
I like that wording. If I wasn't already recording it, I would be writing notes. Right. Take notes, guys, at this point of the call.
But, the thing is, they're also, they have malleable schedules. I mean, I auditioned for a book last year, 2 days after Thanksgiving. On the weekend, I got a thing Friday night, could I do this? And I did it. And I never heard. Well, December went by, January went by, I'd forgotten about this book. The end of February, the publisher calls me and says, you got that book? And I was like, from 3 months ago? He said, yeah, she finally made a decision. Well, obviously the schedule was shot to hell. So it was more of, when could I do the book? Because now they wanted me, she wanted me, so all of a sudden I became important. And it was, when can you do the book for me? So they're aware that, you know, you're not going to sit around knitting a sweater or waiting for them to get back to you with one book, that you have a life and bills to pay.
Yeah, unless
I
it's
did
a
get a
simultaneous.
book. I did, you guys get a book that I, for the life of me, swear I never auditioned for. They swear I did, and it was just a while. I can't find it anywhere in any of my auditions or anything. Didn't have a clue. I was like, I'll take it, obviously.
Yeah, unless a book's a simultaneous release, there's almost always wiggle room. There's a company I work for, Oasis, wonderful people. I'm not going to go too deep into personal stuff, but had some things, and I said, you know, I can't get to this when I said I could. I've got some, and they were so sweet. They extended it, each book, about 2 to 3 months, so it's next year now. They had that kind of, and they're that nice, but because they understood. Now they don't have, no one has to, you can't expect someone to do that, but you guys need to understand that it's not, if they see I need it, you know, Friday, whatever that Friday is, if you can do it, great. If you can't do it, be honest about it. If it's going to be delayed, be honest about it. And anytime a book is due Friday, almost anytime, I've never been late ever in my life. I've done over 1,000 books, and they're always in early, and I always get it in on time, and that's why I get books. But if they say it's Friday, I always ask, even before I've started, I have no idea if I'll be on. Even before I start, I say, since it's Friday, and since we all know you're never going to be in your office on Friday because you're a publisher, and God, you know, the idea of showing up on Friday is anathema. So why don't I make the agreement? It'll be in your FTP or in your Dropbox, whatever it's got to land, by the time you show up in the office Monday morning. Because it doesn't matter. They're never really going to look at it Friday. They're not. So that gives you just bought yourself Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 more days to finish whatever it is at no cost to them or to you. And you may not even need it, but your job is to manage their expectations.
Yeah, and then fulfill them.
In talks with publishers, I think one of their biggest pet peeves is people turning in stuff late. Yeah. If you are going to turn it in late, if there's a problem, real problem, you have a cold, you've lost your voice, they're fine. But people who continuously turn in books late to them, they get really upset with. And publishers talk to each other, you know, and they'll say, oh, you know, someone says a great narrator, but man, they've done 5 books for me and they're always late. Well, that's going to weigh on my head if I'm thinking of casting you. And so you always have to pad your case. Like Johnny says, you know, well, just in case there's a problem, you know, it's cold and flu season. It's a Friday. If there's a problem, is Monday okay? And generally they're going to agree with you. Yeah. There's always wiggle room. Whatever time frame they've given you, know they have plenty of time. I mean, this book I just got yesterday isn't even coming out until the end of February. Yeah. So,
but you don't want to abuse that and suggest that you're definitely going to, like, you know, I am going to go away to Bali for the weekend, and it's big time in the chlamydia season, so I may need a few extra weeks here. You know, you don't want to do that.
But all joking aside,
that's my favorite
right?
venereal disease. It's so pretty. It smells like a flower.
All joking aside, let's talk about work standard, because I had Gideon on the Gildart Jackson, I had Hillary Huber, I had you guys, and everyone, all successful narrators that have many, many books under their belt, and they all said, I'm a known quantity, I deliver when I say I'll deliver, they know they can count on me. The sexy stuff, the Facebook, woohoo, look at me, I'm booked with 20 million publishers. Those aren't the people I respect. And come on, guys, I'm hearing things. I'm not going to say where, but what's your work standard like? Okay, that's all online these days. They're all talking social media and believe in yourself and let's manifest wonderful things. Great. Are your auditions clean? Are you reading the actual directions? Are you meeting your deadlines? Are you not saying you'll do something that you can't do? Are you communicating? I mean, we learned this in like kindergarten, and I'm like, I assumed that it was a competitive world and we all had to be doing this, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going for the bells and whistles. I've got the sexy job, and not actually knowing the job. Am I right?
Yes.
In a word?
Yes. Because this bothers me too. Everybody's going for the bell, the bells and whistles. Everybody's going for the TikTok videos and the constant posting and, oh, I'm busy, until 2025. And, oh, I just got this book. And, oh, I just got that book. You have too much time on your hands to be that. If you're this busy narrating and looking for work and doing the work and getting it done on time, you don't have all this time to be making TikTok videos. I don't think, unless you have a really wonderful way of arranging your time. I don't have time to do TikTok. Do you have time to do TikTok?
I joined it and then I got away because I didn't understand it. And then I tried to join it again. And now I get almost daily, videos for Johnny Heller, recommended videos. I don't know who recommended any of them. I don't understand anything that's going on. Now I know that maybe I've become an old white guy or something, but I don't know what I'm supposed to see. And even if it's a narrator doing, I'm narrating now in jazz hands and shit like that, I don't know what to make of it.
Do you mean on TikTok?
Yeah.
I just get those
Instagram.
guys that go, hello, dear.
Well, oh, geez, yeah. And also, to be honest with you, the TikToks I do see sometimes are kind of inappropriate. I'm thinking,
Absolutely.
I have Pornhub for that. I don't need a TikTok. What's crazy? It's like, oh, why is someone letting their daughter do that? So it's questionable, and so I don't go there. On the other hand, here's the thing, and I don't know enough about it. Joanna and I are in a different place in the industry and in our careers, and we never had to resort to TikTok. Now, but some people do, and it works for them. So I can't.
It's wonderful after you learn how to read directions and do your work on time.
Bring up the point.
Narrate.
Let Joanna say.
Which point?
Joanna.
Oh, but that sounds so rude.
No, but it's
You want me to
true.
bring it? Oh,
I
okay.
do.
That I was
What?
saying that everybody is worried about AI, right? And the problem is that everybody is so focused on bells and whistles as opposed to honing their ability to narrate.
Yeah.
That they'll take like one coaching class or they'll go to one workshop and they'll think, oh, I know how to do this. And they'll start releasing books.
Start coaching.
They've had like 10 books and they start coaching other people. And what's happening is, and I've actually talked to publishers about this, no name dropping, but I have spoken to a few, and they have agreed that it seems that even the listeners' tastes are dropping because they're getting so used to people who are just reading the book. They're not narrating, they're just reading the book. There's no acting involved, there's no inflection, there's no real character building. And they get used to that and they think, oh, I guess that's how it's supposed to be.
It's very much like when you go to Broadway now and everybody gets a standing ovation, no matter how good the show is. I'm not standing up unless it was outstanding. That's the whole point of a standing ovation. And all these people doing these average jobs narrating bring down the listener's expectation. And that's why, listen, if you got to do this job and you're good at it, you're going to get a lot more work than the people who aren't good at it. Yes. Who are still working for some unknown reason.
That's what I was going to say. If you actually take the training and take the time and focus more on your narration and less on all the other media crapola, you're going to stand out in that crowd. But I mean, there honestly are a number of narrators you can go listen somewhere, listen to clips, and you'll think to yourself, really, I know this person because I know they exist. But if I close my eyes and you told me this was AI, I could believe it. Well, and that's not good. That's not good for our industry. That's not good for up and coming people. That's not good for people who've been here for years. Because when someone gives a good performance and you know it, you go, oh my God, this is really good. There'll be somebody else going, I don't know, I didn't like this. And if you check what they generally like, you can find, especially if you go to Audible, you can find that the people they like are the people who just do this.
Yep.
But they have nice voices. So there's a whole contingent of people who
dumbing down of society.
Yeah, yes, it's the dumbing down. The same way Johnny said. I mean, every Broadway show I go to, years ago, if a show got a standing ovation,
that was amazing.
You had tears in your eyes while you were clapping because you were so, as an actor, you'd be, oh my God, that was wonderful. Somebody, coughs on stage, and at the end, there's a standing ovation for everybody. So it's kind of lost its validity.
Yeah, it's the world. Isn't it? It's a reflection of the digital world. Who we are isn't who we really are. Who we are is what our picture shows. So it's all surface. And I remember, I'm not going to name them because obviously I didn't say I'd quote them. One of the really, really good narrators, top coaches, said to me when COVID first hit, they said, they were very annoyed. And there was actually a conversation about the cup of Joe. They said all these avenues encouraging these new narrators that are all just joining because of COVID, and they're putting a blanket over their closet and they're then submitting, and the publishers are going to start to get crap work, and it's giving us all a bad name, and it's going to, and I thought, and I remember saying, no, that'll never happen. Because it's not an easy job, and the ones that are really good are going to stay, and the ones that aren't won't last a day. But in a way, the industry did get flooded, didn't it? And in a way, but the thing is, I don't regret keeping Cup of Joe, because the ones that stayed and engaged and interacted aren't the ones that don't care about quality. You don't listen to hour-long videos of deep soul searching if you just want to do an AI level performance. But we are, aren't we? We're fighting against, I think that's our goal can no
fighting
longer
against
be
mediocrity in a society that gives awards for people to show up, and in a society that plays sports and doesn't keep score because no one should think they're a loser, when in real life there are losers. When I audition for a job and don't get it, that's a loss for me. If I wanted it, how could it not be? And I think you need to, I'm not talking about parenting, or I guess I am, but this life is real, and you got to stop pretending you get a trophy every time you don't get an attaboy every minute. Some things you do don't deserve an attaboy.
But I still think that the Broadway performance that Joanna's talking about, that leaves us in floods of tears, as long as there are people still devoted to the quality and to the art. I know I sound like a cliche, but it's what I believe in my heart, that as long as that art still exists, it will always rise above the rubbish.
Absolutely
the
agree.
rest is business. That's art.
But this way, going back to to all the media hoopla and stuff like that, I don't know. Maybe people really do get work from doing all this.
They do. They get whole careers and buy mortgages.
A lot of the people who do the casting are younger. They're
true.
And so they're on TikTok, and they're leaving Twitter for whatever the next thing is.
But
they're
I have
staying
to say,
on Twitter because
some
they like
very good narrators are on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, and some of them are
Discord.
They deliver. I don't know how they have the time of day, but they do the work. Some of them are on Cup of Joe. They do the work, they deliver, and they go out there. But they're not going out there instead of doing the work.
Right. And we're not trying to set up a scenario we're saying everybody on TikTok is wrong.
No.
Instagram. That's not true, because whatever path you take that leads to not only work in terms of finance,
good work,
but improves your ability as a worker, as a better actor. I'm 100% behind it. What you do and what I do and what Joanna does, what Daniela, may be all different. The way I got into this audiobooks doesn't even exist anymore. So you can't do what I did to get in.
And to me, it's business. That's business. But the job is the art. And it's hard. It's got to be hard. If it's not hard, you're not doing it right. I think maybe not hard every minute, but you've got to work hard. It's work. I mean, am I being old-fashioned?
I don't think so. We ran into a fellow narrator about a week ago here right on Broadway. We were having co-ed coffee with her.
Yeah.
And she's also a coach. And she said that she's getting frustrated. She was an acting coach. Now she does some coaching of audiobooks. And she said what she was finding disconcerting was a lot of new people come on. They're not looking for coaching on how to perform. They want her to explain to them how to get into TikTok, how to get into media, how to have publishers notice them because they're on media. And she's kind of like, well, I'm not that person. I can teach you acting possibilities and narration possibilities, but she said, I'm not that person, because I don't use TikTok. She said, I use limited media. I don't live on media like some narrators do. But she finds it disconcerting, and I agree with her, that their first questions are not, how do I deliver a good narration? Or, so how do I maneuver TikTok, and how do I get other publishers to kind of,
because that's the path they see to success and the career, and the question of quality and feet in the booth. So I do have a good question somebody's put in a really good question. Does ageism exist in the audiobook narrator's world? From Jonathan.
The short answer, yes, of course it does. Every prejudice that exists in the real world exists in our world.
Audiobook narrators.
It's not always spoken that way, but let's look at it this way. For example, if someone's just listening to this, now you look over our group here, and I don't know what our median age is, but we seem to be bitching about TikTok and so on, and we're really not. We're
not,
just saying,
though.
we're just saying that can't be the
whole
goal.
goal.
That's not the goal. So, but if that's a way in, so in terms of ageism, I believe that sure, sometimes I don't want to throw names. I'm going to say this in the right way. I have been turned down for gigs I'm right for because, like, I have a younger sounding voice frequently. I mean, it's. But on the other hand, I can also do an old guy. So I'm in a weird place. But sometimes people think that Johnny's too old to do this when I'm perfect for it. Sometimes, I guarantee that there are people who think they want someone newer. They want someone who's not, I want a Johnny Heller type and not Johnny Heller who's getting too old, long in the tooth. I don't know if they say that, but I bet they think that ageism has to exist. The same way that a lot of companies, publishers, and their casting people are very woke. And I don't mean that in a derogative way. I mean it in a meritorious way. They're woke. They're together. They understand. They want some authenticity in casting. The problem that runs into, and it brings up the ageism issues, here's authenticity in casting right here, okay? Then here's actors who are able to play a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, I would never, ever take the lead, the protagonist in a story about an urban black man, coming of age or something. I wouldn't do it. It made no sense. However, if my story is about some white guy in some place and there's other characters in who are black men, I'm playing them. If it's not a multi-cast, it's just me, I have to play everybody. So that's one of the things we as actors have to come in. That's different than woke or non-woke casting or honesty and ethnicity and all that kind of thing. But sure, I'm going a long way around, but sure, there's ageism. There's all kinds of prejudices. If you're anti-gay or anti-black or anti-Jewish or whatever the hell bigotry you own, that's who you are.
Or if you're far right-leaning and this narrator is far left-leaning and vice versa. You might go, well, I don't want to work with a liberal. I don't want to work with a Trumper.
This is a very person. You can't say to people what that reason is, but if that's how you feel, of course it's going to come out. Of course. We should address that because I know Jonathan followed up with a question that he's told there wasn't ageism. Here's the thing. It's not like this monster problem. I think our industry, made up of the kind of people who are in it, who we all know and love, is one of the few that isn't really smitten and destroyed by various prejudices, racial, sexual, gender, any of that. I don't think there's not a lot of it. To say it doesn't exist is ridiculous because humans are humans and it's a human business. But in the general sense, Jonathan's right. If you have the right voice, it's the right voice.
And if you choose for it not to affect you, if you start thinking, oh, I'm too old, then guess what? It's going to be a problem.
Then you are. Whatever you say you can't do, you can't do.
Right.
There's no question about it. And also, there's a mistake you can make. You can say, I didn't get the job. Fucking ageism. Well, it could be that I just wasn't any good.
Yeah.
That we forget the fact that sometimes it's not, I'm not anti-age. I'm not anti-older guys or black guys or green guys or striped guys. I'm anti-talentless people. Yeah. I prefer not to work with people who suck. So it's conceivable that sometimes we don't get the jobs we want because we suck.
If you really think it's ageism, get an avatar, get a pseudonym, start marketing yourself as your 20-year-old pseudonym and see if you get the jobs then. And if you still don't
get an avatar. What? I'm like, how's that going to help?
Of all the acting industries, voiceover obviously has the least ageism in the sense that, what was that old joke people used to say, have a great face for radio.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you look, it doesn't matter what you look like, your voice matters. So in most cases it doesn't, but people are people. And as Johnny said, casting people are getting younger and younger. So yeah, it's possible they might go, Well, Betty Boop has 500 books, and Jane here only has 10 books. Jane is one of my peers, and when I'm 25 years old, and Betty Boop there's probably 40, 45, 50.
She's my parents' age.
I give Jane the shot. So ageism, I don't think it's so much that someone's sitting around thinking, oh, they're too old. I think it's that it intrinsically filters in. Just like if someone's a casting agent and they're 60, they'd be more inclined to go for somebody who's proven themselves over 500 books, if it's a big book, than to try it, this 25-year-old who maybe has 10 books. You know what I mean? If it's a throwaway book and it's a backlist, they may go, I'll give her a shot. But if it's something, a simultaneous release, well, I'm going to give it to the guy who's got 500 books and who's closer to my age, if I'm whatever age I am, if I'm the casting person. So it does, I think it plays in subliminally, whereas in Hollywood, for instance, on film and television, not even theater, but film and television, it plays in directly. Oh, she's still around? God, she's got to be 100 by now. Yeah, she's probably 40. You know
I was fired from a job because they said that they didn't want me and the fellow actor in the same room as a bed. Nobody wants to see people that age in the same room as a bed.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I also have to point out, I was not cast as Black Adam. These things happen.
So, yeah, I mean, it exists because it exists in all of us on some level. These prejudices exist. I mean,
I think far less so, though, it's rarely a cast. I mean, here's the thing, and Jonathan's right when he brings it up. You know what you sound like. I mean, I'm fortunate that I get to do almost every genre in the world, and I do a lot of little kids things. And I have a different sound for those than I do for this, and a different sound. The only genre I don't do is erotica. Plain and simple, and probably fine reason for that too, if you listen to me. I always say no one really wants to hear me talk dirty.
But don't you think it comes down to everything we've talked about on this call? If you know yourself and your strengths and you play to that and you're genuine and go in there and do it, it all balances out, doesn't it?
Yep. And you brought something up earlier that I wanted to address for a second about all the work it goes. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And while it is hard work and real work, that's also part of the joy.
I know. I love work. I'm a workaholic, so that's a good thing. It's the work we do.
The difference is this. So many people have work they do, jobs they show up at, and they punch in, or they're there, and it's work. It feels like work, and it's arduous, but they're God bless them. They're there to make a better life or a good life for their families, and at least wonderful. What we do in breaking down characters and studying things and trying to play moment to moment, beat to beat, that's work. And getting better at it is hard work, but it's a joyful work.
Yeah.
We do it with a smile is it hard? Is it painful? Are there tears? Yeah, but there's also laughter and all those things.
That's the satisfaction. I see, me personally, I'm not fulfilled unless I feel that I've done something that's hard and I've accomplished something.
The hard part bothers me. The use of the word hard is problematic for me because it just makes it sound like, is it really? Because I think
it might be a big flaw in my personality in general.
Well, yeah, I think you set yourself up for an arduous, difficult task when you start calling it work.
Yeah.
When it's just think of it as the process.
Because the jobs I had in corporate office weren't hard at all. They were easy. Most people are ridiculously stupid when you get down to it. And it was easy to work in what a lot of people consider work because I couldn't have cared less about it. I just went in and did it. But to me, this is the hardest work I've ever done in my life. And the most satisfying.
It's the most open. It's the most open you've ever had to be.
Well, it's probably the hardest work because you have to go so inside yourself, which is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and because
if you're really delivering narration of a story, you're really inside yourself, and that makes it hard.
Look at how much work you do to put these cup of joes together.
Oh yeah, that's not work.
To bring, you bring the characters, you bring the people up, you ask the questions, you open it up to a world who's interested in hearing about it. Those are all labors of love for you. It's work, but it's a labor of love, and I think you need to start considering the work you're doing as an actor a labor of love, much like this. Stop
It's
pretending.
funny, I
there's-
never realized, because I never could think of anything as work unless it's hard. And the only thing I find is hard is the narrating. It's the only thing I've ever found hard. And that's because I love it so much, but it's got to be perfect. And
Perfect.
it's got, and also to deadline and be in the so many things. So many. I take your guys' advice. Everything you say on all these calls, everything every coach says, I'm go into that booth and try. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like facing yourself.
You're going to
And
be all
that's like-
messed up if you take everybody's advice.
I do. I pretty much do. Pretty much do. Yeah. but-
Just do what we tell you and then be fine.
I do. But funny enough, you all say pretty much the same things. You don't contradict it. The people that I admire don't contradict each other. You know.
When Joanna and I put on our workshops like New England and stuff, it's not the Johnny and Joanna show. Those kind of, I bring other coaches and highlight them and their effort, because Joe Frumkin and I work together frequently, and we actually have different styles, but absolutely the same method to get to it.
Yeah.
Sean Pratt and I and Joanna have same end results, different paths. And I find that fascinating, and it's important to everybody understand that you don't have to emulate. You can't emulate everybody's work, but find someone who seems to be talking your language and do what they say. That the difficulty comes when someone's willing to share with you what they do. Okay, I'm successful. So here's what I do every day. Follow me through this day. I will share it with you.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And you don't share it with me. I mean, you don't do anything I tell you to do. You argue each point. You fight against everything I say. And people do that naturally. And I think that's a problem. It's like when you start your first day at a new job and you're trying to reorganize their system. Well, learn their system first and then make changes.
But the thing with these calls, when I'm on the calls, and that's what I hope for everyone else as well, which is why I don't want the boring questions, because when I'm on the calls, I think that the beneficial thing is to find people you admire, like I admire you guys, like I admire Sean, Gildart Jackson, for the art they do. And I think, wow, I'd love to create something like that. And imagine I'm have your mindset. What's it like to be you? Like when you watch the old Actor Studios interviews, you feel like you know the person. What's it like to be you? And that's what I bring into the booth with me. I don't go into the booth going, okay, now Johnny said this, because that's from the outside in to me. But to me, it's the essence, which is why I sit awake at 3 a.m. going, what made Johnny do that book so well? I can't put my finger, because it's that essence. As an actor, don't you find when you see great talent, you're dying to know where that talent sparked from, because you're chasing that talent your whole life?
I don't know if I'm dying to see where it comes from. I'm just delighted that it exists. Because
Really?
I don't think it comes from the same place in anyone. I just think here's the thing. Some people have an innate talent. They're just, like the camera loves you, that kind of thing. Well,
Don't you want to know what it feels like? What it's like?
Oh,
If
hell,
a
I know
man
what
in
it
front
feels
of you's
like.
got the innate talent, you could imagine being him, then you could experience some of that innate talent. Don't you think we all have it inside us waiting to be released?
No.
Really?
Do we all have innate talent within us waiting to be released?
Don't you think we all have that possibility of grasping that talent? I'm not wording this properly because it's so intangible what I'm trying to say. There's something when you listen to, when you see a photograph, when you look at art, when you listen to music or an audiobook, and somebody moves you. And I think in whatever way you choose to express it, we all have that ability to do that. And when somebody does that, you can learn from them so that you yourself can turn on your ability to do that, if you haven't already.
If indeed we all have that ability, I think it's to different degrees in everyone.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I would agree with is that we all have the ability to recognize it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we all have the ability to do it, hence the differences in people's abilities in different fields. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah,
That's so sad.
well, life's a bitch. Yeah.
That's
I'm not gonna. No,
sad.
no, we can't all do jazz hands and sing the gypsy. Yeah, we're not all. We're
But
not all.
maybe not in that form, but in some way of expression or art or form, don't you think? Everyone has something.
You ask me if I think that. I don't think
Yeah,
that. No,
you
I do not.
don't. Wow.
I think
Maybe
some.
I
I
might
think
be
some. No, I think some people simply don't even have an interest in finding out the art that's within them. Now, if it may, I guess it to some degree it must exist in everyone, but it lies forever dormant in many. And I'm not sure that everybody has. I think what separates us is a desire to find that in us and heighten it and show it and bring it out on a regular basis. I don't think everyone possesses that. So maybe that's the difference I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's there, but I'm not sure that maybe the butcher finds his artistic expression in a particularly excellent cut of veal or something. You know,
Well,
I
there's
don't
that
know.
book Flow. Remember that book Flow? I didn't pay too much attention. It seemed pretty simple, but something about how like you get into your flow and it's that moment where everything goes. Maybe people find it in different ways. I'm sure those business
Yeah.
people I worked with.
What you say may be true if I think of it in another way, I suppose.
Okay.
The way you expressed it to me didn't ring true for me, but I do think I understand what you're saying.
So I think that's what it is I'm so, and I just do this for myself because I get very turned off by what I call the outside in. I get very turned off by people that learn the technique and apply it as a business model and go into the booth and do everything they're supposed to do. It makes me want to punch someone because I can hear it when I listen to their book. But so when I listen to these calls, I'm trying to, with people that I admire, I'm like, to me, it's the same as like I'm having a Zoom call with Da Vinci or Picasso. And I want that. I just think, and you and Joanna have it, and you don't even realize it. It's such a waste. You're just,
Oh yeah, we're the glam couple of the
Yeah,
year.
we
Yeah.
are.
You should
Lisa
see our
says,
house.
Lisa says everyone says different things, but we're all headed up the same mountain. Some click better for me, some better for others. That's right. We're all.
I think, Daniela, I think that the idea that there's I think the actor is not the kind of person who measures once, measures twice, and cuts once. I think a working actor cuts a shitload of times and probably never measures and glues things back together and then cuts them again and then finds the way. I think that's whatever you call that method. I think that's our method. And I think that's why what we do is difficult for so many others to understand and appreciate because it's a bizarre way to do things and a bizarre desire. The fact that we want to play a million people, a million emotions, a million
I
scenes.
think most of the time it's literally just a leap of faith. You just jump in and assume it's going to work out. That your intuition will kick in, your training will kick in, the things that have shaped your life will kick in, and you just jump in and go for it. And that's limited in a lot of people, even people who have talent. I mean, it's hard to just kind of go trust in yourself enough to just go, okay, I'm taking off the parachute and I'm going in, and you just go for it. I don't know if that's what makes a performance or an actor a better actor.
I don't know, but I think you're dead on right.
Yeah, you are. That's actually really good. And I think the difference with the TikTok, isn't it, is people trying to create jobs, like structure, like TikTok is a business and I'm going to create a business.
I understand TikTok, and I guess, like I said, people do claim to get work from it. I don't use it and I get work. So it's not my model. I don't watch TikTok. And frankly, even all the narrators, I'll see them, I just scroll past it. I don't have the time to sit and listen to, whatever it is, whatever they're saying, or I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's interesting. It's cute. They're having their coffee. They're talking. I don't care. I scroll by to see what new books are coming out or what new events are happening.
I have a hard time not seeing us all sound like church lady talking about Satan when we talk about TikTok here. We're like, it's like, yeah, the damn TikTokers.
Well, here's the thing. Years ago, before TikTok hit the United States, I did a book on China, and they mentioned TikTok, and TikTok was a tool of Xi Jinping for controlling the masses. And so they tried to get TikTok here, but our government wouldn't allow it because they weren't sure who was spying on who with TikTok.
But now we know.
Whom with TikTok. And there were 2 chapters devoted strictly to the spying capabilities of TikTok. So once TikTok came here, I'm kind of like already 5 steps back, because I'm thinking, well, did our government ease up on all those problems they had with TikTok, or did they just figure, who gives a hell?
That's what they thought.
I think that's what who cares? We got other fish to fry. So I always wonder what the hell's going on at TikTok. Who's listening in? What information they're stealing?
Well, look at the people on Facebook all the time who do those things, those little alleged games, like if I were a dog, I'd be this guy, and you play this game. You're giving up all this information.
I know all your information.
To see what you're going to look like as a dog. Well, first, who gives a shit what you look like as a dog? No, pretty much no. Certainly no dog does. And the other thing, all the information you're giving out there is an opportunity for hackers to hack. I don't understand why. My sister does it constantly.
I don't understand. But then again, I'm not good with games. That's the last book I did evidently schooled me that I should find joy. I'm not good with, I was the child that was like, they'd pull out the silly putty and I'd be like, I'm not touching that.
Silly putty's awesome.
Silly putty?
No, it's messy. I don't like
you
things
can spread it
messy.
out and you can put it on the comics. And you can pull it up and Calvin and Hobbes be on your silly putty.
Seriously, I had everything very organized at that age, and I was not letting anybody mess it up. But Instagram, they do have the talking cats and that Madam Adam tarot card reader. So that alone, he's amazing. Madam Adam's wonderful.
Is that a cat?
No, he's the guy. The talking cats, there's the talking cat that's like, excuse me, but you're rationing my food. I didn't hear you rationing it when you ate the entire bag of Oreos kind of thing.
Okay. So who's Madam Adam?
Madam Adam is a tarot card reader, and he posts regularly, and he talks really fast, and he's hysterical. He's really, really funny. And he gives you.
Did you ever see the video about the guy in the honey badger?
I don't really. Is that like YouTube. A sexual thing, a honey badger?
No. They're the most vicious animal in the world.
Apparently, it's the honey badger.
Oh, I thought it was like another erotica subcategory.
No. It's this guy but the guy does a voiceover. Go look at the honey badger. Goes, the honey badger doesn't give a shit. Look at him, honey badger. Look at him go. He's like he's fighting a bear. Honey badger doesn't give a shit. It's very, very funny. It's this gay Southern sound. It's just tremendous. And the honey badger, I had no idea, but they're pretty vicious guys. I mean, they will take on anything. They'll take on a shark.
I could swear to you there's a subgenre along with the bully romance. I think there might be a honey badger romance.
Do you say bully romance?
No, a honey badger
romance. Bully romance people.
Are you saying bully or bully?
Bully.
Spell it.
Maybe it's my English accent. Bully.
Spell it.
Bully.
Oh, bully. Okay.
Oh,
bully.
You sound like you're saying bouillabaisse.
Bully. You are giving you the French song.
Yeah, the bully. I do not like the young bullies pushing me off the swing. Bastards.
But I think that's the key with social media is we all have like our things that we like.
Nothing wrong with any of the social media. There's nothing wrong with TikTok. But my thing is that when people become obsessed with it, or as this one person said, they want to be coached into how to break into that kind of coaching. I just think it takes away from everything else. Yeah. And I'm sure people are getting work, but I'm saying I also get work and I don't do all that stuff. I mean, I go on social media occasionally.
I'm still trying to get us away from this so we don't look like a bunch of old people complaining about TikTok. Is what this whole thing sounds like.
I like
no, but we're not. We've done the call with Andy and everything explaining social media. We're totally not. And I did try TikTok.
The blogs. I do the blog called For the Hell of It, and I need to do it monthly, but I keep forgetting. I'm going to do one about not forgetting, I think. But I also read it live on a YouTube. I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. And
because I did it live, because the last video, you want to get an agent or something, you got to have video of you. Well, TikTok gives you video of you, and so does Instagram. In ways, and then FaceTime. So I did the YouTube videos. I have Stuart Talon is my voiceover agent, and I wanted to be on the commercial on camera side because I have a great face for radio. So I said, what do you, so I sent them some of the YouTube videos that Daniela actually is my editor on. I sent them to, and they signed me for on camera because of that. So there's an advantage sometimes to using the social media that the kids today are using. To get you. So I mean, it worked for me. So I think,
but it's intention. You enjoy doing your blog. Like
but
I
the TikTokers
enjoy doing Facebook Lives. It's what you enjoy. But if you try
TikTok
to do
guys
all
might
of
like
them,
it.
Yeah, you've got to. I think if you show up in whatever, I can't narrate live. I don't like it. It really stresses me out and freaks me out.
You should try. You do it on Clubhouse. I did it on Clubhouse. Sometimes I get on and narrate a few chapters live. It's wonderful.
Oh, it freaks me out. I don't like it. I suddenly get self-conscious and I'm not thinking about my narrating. I'm thinking about the audience. But I can go on live and like pour out my life story and say the most things that nobody would admit in public. No problem at all. So I think maybe choose your genre or choose what you're good at.
You're delightful. You're a nut, but you're delightful.
You guys, can I say thank you for joining this call tonight? I hadn't had a call in a little while, and I've got to say again, these calls, I jokingly say they've saved me over the last 2 years because they forced me to put makeup on at least once a week, but I now realize after taking a couple of weeks off, they've saved me in more ways than one, because I'm happy being on my own. I'm happy in my own head, but you can get too much in your own head. And it's just lovely to sit and just have a conversation. And what's the American term? Shoot the shit.
Yes, especially with people with nothing at all in their head.
You guys look amazing. You wonderful. I learned so much on this call. I actually did. Oh, famous last words. Can I please have famous last words from each of you? Oh, no, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do something completely different. If you wake up tomorrow in your perfect life, like your perfect,
do you know something we don't know? No.
Ideal life, right? Like, this is kind of touchy doing this as a couple because I hope you're both waking up in the same place, but perfect house, perfect, palazzo, mansion, whatever country, what you're doing that day, what your cup of coffee is like. Are you having it on the balcony, by the beach? Tell me about your perfect, ideal day. Money is no issue.
Well, maybe it's a product of living through COVID, getting older, but my perfect day these days and I hate to use this there's an old song where it says, "A good day ain't got no rain." James Taylor. That's a good day for me. A day where we're not politically at each other's throats. My family is totally intact. No friends have called with horror stories. No one else is sick or having some horrible thing in their life. That's my perfect day these days. So like I said, maybe it's a product of COVID and getting older, but I'm not looking for major excitement. My perfect day these days is that I wake up and everything's fine, and I go to bed and everything's fine. And I may change my mind, a year from now, but that's my perfect day right now.
But would you have maybe a meal?
Yeah, a good meal. Yeah, I mean, it would be that everybody's fine, everything's fine, and maybe a nice dinner with a nice crisp glass of wine out in the world without masks. The people I love. That's it.
Lovely. And you live in New York City anyway, one of the most exciting cities in the world. So that sounds pretty perfect.
I think I'd like to get up in a beautiful morning with the sun rising, shining off some sort of body of water, whether it's a lake or a babbling brook or something, and I'm on my terrace or porch with a hot steaming cup of cappuccino made from my DeLonghi doodad, which I don't own yet, And
We have a DeLonghi.
My dream is I'm always in London or Paris or someplace in Italy. I've never been to Italy, but I've been to London and Paris. I'm someplace in Europe, I guess. And it's and I'm eating. Well, there was a place in Paris we found that had these wonderful croissants. So I want those every day with my coffee as I look out, and I know another language. I'm reading Le Monde in the original. I'm reading something, and I'm looking out, and I'm wearing, those robes they give you in hotels so you get in trouble if you steal. I want one.
The really thick, luxurious one.
Yeah, you can't find. Yeah, all that bullshit. Not a cravat. That's one. That's one. But I want a really big, and maybe without getting yelled at, sit back and have maybe an espresso and a nice little cigar and just have nothing in front of me but whatever I want to do, which will likely be take a book that I'm not recording, but go to the local bar and spend the day sitting in the sun with a cocktail or a beer or something and reading my book without just my day. That's where I'm headed. That's my plan.
That sounds idyllic. And then you can go back and have the lovely dinner with Joanna.
Yeah. She'd be with me in all of that. I mean, I couldn't, that wouldn't be, I don't want to do it myself. She may leave when I light the cigar. Yeah.
Well, on that, I think that's a perfect note to, so Lisa. Yes, Lisa. Lisa was thrilled to see this call was scheduled with two of her favorite people as guests.
How cute Lisa looks.
Oh.
I know, and see, she doesn't need the fake Zoom background. She's got the damn log cabin, like ready-made. Perfect.
She lives in the Beverly Hillbillies original house.
It's called rustic.
Yeah.
Rustic traditional. Thank you so much, you guys.
Huh? Thanks for having us again. And thanks everybody for joining us. And if we don't see you, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a beautiful Christmas or whatever you may celebrate.
Yes.
And go drink some eggnog and think of me. They don't even sell the crappy stuff here this year. I can't even get the Borden's can.
Why don't they sell it?
I cannot get it. The only thing
Is there a shortage of eggnog?
No, because in Great Britain, known for their wonderful food, they think eggnog sucks while they eat suet.
I actually emailed Borden's complaining, and then they said Borden's doesn't actually do eggnog. It's some other company uses their name. And I emailed the other company and Facebooked them, and nobody will get back to me. I'm complaining.
I have the answer for you. I think a quick answer. Jack Daniels makes an eggnog that's got booze already in it, and I bet they can ship it to you.
Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, okay.
Have a good night. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye all.
Bye.